What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 257 of the Ball is Round Montreal. We've got a loaded show for y'all today, Ball is Rounders. We're previewing FC Supra du Quebec season and recapping CF Montreal's fifth loss of the season. And we're going to get right into it because it's a big show. As you already know, I don't do this alone. Joining me in the show today, never one to sugarcoat it, always bringing the real talk and guaranteed to bring the energy every single time. Elias Goriades. How we doing, my man?
I'm
Yes.
doing good. I'm doing good. No, it's been a very busy weekend of soccer for me, so I'm very happy to talk about it. I'm very happy to be back. Let's do it.
Elias, we're just getting started, dude.
Yeah, we
It's
had a week
another day.
off and we're
We took
back.
a week off. We said it. We said we had a little, one-on-one, and we said, I think we need a break before the real stuff starts, right?
And then
But
proceeded to not take a break.
yeah. but you know what, Elias, we're so lucky because it's been a minute. We haven't had a guest on the show, right? To,
Absolutely.
to help us out, and we have someone that has been following the FC Super to Quebec for a little bit now and can give us all kinds of inside scoops. We are joined by Hans Najemi, contributor to CanFC. Hans, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
As you can see, we're high energy, Hans. We're gonna need you to today because we it is a Monday night. We're exhausted. First day of the week, so let's get this
Yeah.
this show on the road. But before we get into all the stuff, before we dive into the fun stuff, quick little message for you guys. If you like the Ball is Round, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you never miss an episode. It really helps the show grow and keeps us bringing you more content every single week. Elias, we had Annie Larouche. We have so many guests that are coming up. We've
Some more
had
in the pipeline. Yeah, we got some real good stuff.
we have players, staff. We have everybody coming to the show. We're always doing Upwatch as well. So, guys, don't miss anything. And don't forget, drop your thoughts in the comments. We're an interactive show. We like to answer your questions, insults, anything you have for us. Give it to us in the comment section, not hands, because we want them back. So don't be nice to them today. But
Yeah.
make sure you're also following us on all of our social media for daily updates, clips, and breaking takes, covering everything CF Montreal, Rose FC, and FC Supra du Quebec. And make sure you follow Hans as well now that he's come on the show. So let's go ahead and get right into it. It's time, guys. It's time. The long awaited start to FC Supra's season is upon us as they face off against Pacific FC at West Hill Stadium on Saturday night at 6 p.m. Hans, are you going to be there?
Oh no,
You're
I
going to
don't
watch
think so. I don't think so. Yeah.
In this
I would love
economy,
to.
bro, you think I can go all the way out west, man? Ain't no way.
But I think it's cheaper to actually like buy the yearly subscription to One Soccer than gas going all the way there.
Exactly.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
know
that's what I thought. Yeah.
But how we feeling, guys? How we feeling? We're here. It's
I'm
the
really,
moment.
dude. It's weird because we've been waiting for this to happen for so long. I'm like, oh shit, like it's actually like it's time to go. And it's kind of it's almost like messing with my brain because we spend so much time analyzing, breaking down, and expecting, and like almost wring our hands because they took a little bit longer than expected to have the full roster. They told us the end of February, right? Ideally end of February we have everything. And we were end of March and we're like, okay, you're gonna sign some more guys or what? So I'm just happy to actually have soccer, man.
Yeah, man. And how about you, Hans? How you feeling? How excited? You've been going to the preseason game, the practice. How it's here. It's here,
Yeah.
my man.
Yeah. Very excited for next Saturday. I think we're all excited to see like a team with players that we know, especially me, players I play against or with. So yeah, I can't wait to see them on the field. And yeah.
That's exciting. We're all excited for the whistle to go off for the first game. The CPL did start last weekend. I don't know if you guys caught those games, but it did already start. I was kind of surprised because I'm looking so forward to FC Super du Quebec that I forgot that there were other teams in the CPL that were also playing, and they started last weekend. And
Yep.
those were
I'm
those kind
just
of
surprised they didn't take the opportunity to put the team with an inaugural season on match day one, but whatever.
yeah, right. Like it kind of kills the hype. It's kind of weird, but anyways,
Yep.
okay. So to start, as we said, it's a loaded show to talk mostly the preview of FC Supra. We want to start with the roster, right? We have a roster that they finalized that the team introduced to us, right? I made a little Excel sheet, and we're gonna kind of break it down by position. Okay, we're gonna break it down by position and see how are we feeling about each position. Elias, if you can pull that up. So at the goalkeeping, we have Joachim Milly, Jolan Fori, Makudia Diop. And if I mess up any of these names, please correct me. Now you can see that the age varies a little bit. I believe the new signing is the older goalkeeper in the room, with a lot of experience as well. He's coming from CS Longueuil. How are we feeling about the goalkeeping situation? Hans, I'll start with you. How with those three goalkeepers now in the room?
Yeah, so for Joachim Milly, we already knew he was going to be the starter. He has a lot of experience in Italy, and he had a great season with CSNL last year. So it's not really a surprise. I think he has the ability to, be in the nets for Supra. So yeah, not a surprise. But for Makudia Diop, um, I saw the game against Carabin. I found him a bit shaky, so I was like, oh, maybe they'll take Costa Maniatis, who's playing for Cfmtl now. But I've saw him Diop play with Saint Laurent against no with Longueuil against Blainville last year, and he was unbelievable. So I think he has ability also to be a great second keeper. He's very tall. He makes very great saves. And I've talked to players that play with him, and they said, yeah, it's not a surprise for him to be there. So I don't really doubt he's a great player. We'll see now if he gets minutes. And for Ray, well, it's a project, a long term project. I don't really know him, but I know that he has the quality to be a great keeper in the near future.
Interesting. Elias, out of all the goalkeepers, is there one of them that maybe you're excited to see maybe get a few games here and there? Or are you excited about Milly maybe being a starter? How do you feel about the goalkeeping situation right now?
We talked about this a while back when Joachim Willi was announced as his contract was announced. He's going to be the starter once Ryan Nesli signed professionally overseas in Algeria. It became, it was his spot to lose. So it's not too surprising that he's the main guy. I mean, I think everyone's excited to see Jean Alfori just because whenever a club signs a 16-year-old, it's noticeable, it's noteworthy, and I think that it's very interesting. Like, I've seen him at training, and obviously, you know, he belongs, and he's at a very high level, and he's at a professional level. That's the reason he's under contract. But I don't think he's going to get that many minutes this year. I just don't think that there's the room to rotate, and if they are going to rotate, you have the experience of Diop right there. So I think that he's not going to play all that much. Again, it is that developmental situation, if I'm not mistaken, where he is going to be, he's going to have that mobility back to Ligue 1, where he's, going to get the minutes he needs to develop. Because again, keeping a 16-year-old at the club just to practice helps nobody. So yeah, Joachim Milly, I think we're all excited to see what he can do at the professional level in Canada. But obviously, his quality is known in Quebec for sure.
And I find that it's very difficult in any case to evaluate goalkeepers in general. Elias, we discussed it back and forth so much last
especially
season
when we're not
it
goalkeepers.
Yeah, we don't understand that mentality, right? It's a very very different mentality as a player. We discussed it with Roses FC. They had a whole goalkeeping situation where we really didn't understand. They didn't know how to predict or if it was good, if it was bad. Second year's a little bit different. Same thing with CF Montreal, and now it's with FC Supra de Quebec, where you want to say, I'm excited to see all three of them, just to see who can do better, right? But it's hard. But there's other positions that are a little bit easier. So, Elias, if you can just pull it up again, we're going to go ahead and look at the defensive situation of FC Super. We have Mathis Chrétien, Ismaël Yeo, Kisan Ferdinand, which is a very familiar name. Also, Clément Bahia, Charles Auguste, Wesley Wanje. And again, if I mess up the names, I'm sorry, guys. Thomas Leboeuf, Diadine Abzi, a very exciting name. And this one, I'm going to mess up. Eliakim Awon Budget. Izia and Isaiah Bayer. Okay, how are we feeling about the defensive situation? Did I mess that up, guys? Because it didn't feel good when I said it.
You did all right. You got a whole season to get better.
He sounds like my wife. But okay, so Elias, how are we feeling about the defensive situation?
They've defended in the back four for the majority of their friendlies. So I don't think they're gonna. There was questions about whether or not Nick Rizaki was gonna bring his 3-4-3 from Cfmtl over to the Supra. It doesn't look to be the case. And I think once we get to talk about the midfield, it's going to kind of show why. But right now, I think there's not a clear gap between the starters, but I think that some of the people that are expected to be in the starting conversation are definitely it's fairly obvious. You got people like Clément Baya, like Kishan Ferdinand, like Diadzin Abzi, who are noticeably higher level. Um, but I'm really curious to see how this team looks because again, when you look at the attackers and the midfielders, you have your starters, or at least for week one. The defense, it's a bit more competitive, and I'm curious to see who rounds out the center back spots and stuff like that. Because again, you have Ferdinand, you have Abzi, you have Baya. Those are all people that are you know at a very high level and are arguably the better defenders at the club. But Charles Auguste, is he going to step up into the midfield? It's very likely. Can he complement or look? There's a whole lot of Tetris being played right now with Nick Rizagi and his shape. But I think honestly, what's really going to pique my interest is who gets the starting spot in the center back positions for sure.
Hans, go ahead.
Yeah, so I like the players that are there. The most exciting player is for sure Abzi. I've seen him during the preseason games, and he's the one that will dictate the game for Supra. I mean, if he's in a great form, he's giving the chance to Supra to win. So I'm very excited to see him on the left back side. Yeah, Elias said for the center backs is where it's a bit more shaky, I'd say, because it's a position that you need a lot of experience. I know they have Laurent Sima as a assistant coach, but it's different. There's no one in that backside with a lot of experience. I know Ferdinand played pro and he has experience with the academy side with the Montreal and stuff, but you need like one general at least. So I'm a bit worried for that position. How it'll go. It will go even with like big players with like Forge players or Atletico. So we'll see. But my take is that Ferdinand will start with Chrétien. I really like Chrétien. He has the quality of like a very great center back. It's not a surprise that he's pro right now. So I'm excited to see how it'll go for him. And for the right back position, I think we'll start with Baya or Charles Auguste. He can play in that role too. But I think the defense of Supra is a bit like their lowest position between midfield and attacking. Yeah,
We haven't looked at the attacking yet, but I would actually, Hans, I would actually say more the
switch.
attacking is where I'm a little bit concerned. But we'll get to that. But the defense is not to say that I'm confident about it, but I feel like there's a lot more players that say they can experiment with, right? You have some that are a little bit older, some that are a little bit younger. As you guys mentioned, Abzi is a very, very important name. But I think there is a lot of, I think more than anything, maybe you guys will agree or disagree with me, but I think there's a lot of profiles here in the defensive side that are, let's wait and see what they can do. There's no real proven. We have Charles Auguste also that could be a fantastic player, but also has, if I remember correctly, he took some time off of football, so he's kind of working his way back to getting in that rhythm of professional soccer. So it could be a fantastic experiment or not a good experiment. We don't know, but there's a lot of question marks in the defense, and I think Hans, kind of going off of what you're saying, it's a little bit concerning when you have too many question marks and nothing for sure except one player. And as we know in sports, guys, you guys know soccer very well. When you rely on one or two players, injuries happen, things happen, suspensions or whatever. That's when you start testing the other profiles, right? And that's where there's a lot of question marks to see what's going on. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to the midfield part of FC Supra. We have Abubakar Sissoko, Alessandro Biello, Usama Buganmi, Olivier Correa, Omar El Kalkuli, Safwan Mla, and Kalen. I'm not gonna say his last name, but and you guys say Kalen, right? Hans is
Yeah.
about to burst out cracking up. You know what, Elias? You're gonna say the forward skills because I can't do it anymore.
Okay.
But but
You
okay.
gave me the easiest section. Let's go.
I'm like, my tongue is like, but all right. So I'll start with you, Hans. How are we feeling about the midfield?
Yeah, so it's clearly their deepest position. I think there's a lot of guys with experience. Usama, who played in Tunisia, Safwan, who played in CPL, Alessandro Biello, too, with CF Montreal in the MLS, Abubakar Sissoko. So there's a lot of guys that, can hold that midfield. Uh, I'm excited to see how they will play, like 1-6, 2-8, or 1-10. We'll see, but for sure, Sean Ria will be there too. So I'm not worried about that midfield. I think Nick Razaki has a lot of, players that can go in week out, week in and week out. My guess is that probably Usama will start because of the experience, or Sissoko in that sixth position. Sean Rea will be there, and I'm excited to see who's going to be the guy like that plays a bit more versatile. So like where Correa played this preseason. Um, uh, I don't know who's going to be there, but he can for sure be there. I think he showed that he has the level to play pro. He had a great year with Saint Laurent too. So yeah, the midfield, I'm not worried about it. I think it's what hold the team right now. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I think that the midfield does have a lot of potential with a big name like Alessandro Biello. It's definitely one of those. I think the position where you can say the most that you're excited about seeing what's going to happen. I mentioned about question marks in defending in midfield. There's less question marks and more excitement as to some of the profiles that are there. Elias, what stands out to you about the midfield for FC Super de Quebec?
I mean, Hans put it really well. It's definitely the deepest area on the field. And this is kind of pulls back to when I was talking about the 3-4-3. They played it at Saint Laurent, so Bouganmi is comfortable with it. But at the pro level, I don't think he has the legs to play in a double pivot alone in the middle of the park. I just think it's too much running for him, and especially on the Stade Boreal field, which is horrifying. Anyone that's played at Bois Boulogne knows that field is trash, and so it's more just for his general health that having him do all that kind of work is just it doesn't make sense for me tactically. I could see him as a lone pivot, kind of like in a regista role, and having people like Sissoko or Biello. Kind of his profile is a little bit similar to Bouganmi, maybe as a metronome kind of player. He's put on some muscle, which is nice to see from the last time we saw him at CF Montreal. Which is, I mean, he's also 19 years old. I expect him to continue growing, but it's nice to see that he's been adding muscle. Now it's curious to see if they're going to go with like an offensive-minded 8, someone like Correa, if they're going to go with a full-on 10, like Sean Rea, someone who can really just kind of get in between the lines, or if they're going to have Rea play in a more attacking role, just to kind of beef up the midfield. Because again, like it's the physicality of the CPL that I think is the curious part, and it's the big jump between that and League One. I think technically, a lot of the guys are technically very capable to play pro, and that's not a concern for me. But someone like Omar El Kalkouli, who is technically brilliant, and he's such a joy to watch, how is he going to respond to, some 6'4" Icelandic guy who's been in the league for 3 years and he's just going to run through him, right? So I'm very curious to see how he responds to that, because that's probably the bigger challenge for me. Because yeah, Ligue 1 has its own level of aggression, but it's not. It's more the controlled physicality of the professional game that I think is going to be very interesting. And yeah, it's Sissoko and Bouganmi for me are the two that are for sure. I mean, Sissoko is going to be an assistant captain, so he's definitely in. But Bouganmi, his distribution is by far the best on the team. His long range distribution is unparalleled, and I think just in terms of setting the pace of the team in possession, you have to have him. You have to. So the rest is really interesting competitive battle, because it also depends on what they're looking for and how they want their midfield to look. But anybody there can get in.
Awesome. And now we have the attack. And you're right, Elias. It is the easiest names. Oh my God. I should have made you read the midfield. Attack. Sean Rea, David Chouanière, captain, named captain this week. Bakary Caboret, Loic Kwemi, Alexandre Marcou, Alexander Makarova, Ibrahim Konde, and Riyad Bey. All right. Attack. How are we feeling? Attack. How are we feeling, Elias? About
I'm really curious. from a creative, from a chance creation perspective, they're loaded with talent. It's an insane amount of skill that they've got up top. And my big concern kind of lies where the concern's been pretty much all along, and it's in the nine position, right? Because you have Louis Quemi, who's a proven commodity, but it's not his natural position. Alexandre Marcoux, he's the only proper actual poacher number nine at the club right now. But again, he is largely unproven. He's been great for UKTR, but it's a huge jump, right? It's an enormous jump. And so I'm very curious to see how he reacts to that. I mean, he did well in the friendly in Quebec City. He got a brace, which is nice to see. But it's more now just again the jump to the professional game. Can that be made? And remember, it's not just about can you get a goal. It's the consistency, right? Can you play, not just can you finish. Anyone can strike the ball well. You're a professional soccer player. Can you combine? Can you drop deep? Can you make runs? Can you do all the stuff that's asked of a striker? Because the modern poacher is still asked to do other stuff now as well. And so I'm very curious to see how they kind of work around that, probably the most glaring gap in their squad. I think. I mean, again, we talked about center back, but Keyshawn Ferdinand is there. He has experience, and there's a lot of good, exciting young talent. The striker position could be a sore spot, and which is weird because you got Rea, Chouanière, Quemi, all three, and even Riyad Bey. Like all these players have an insane amount of talent that can play out wide and that can create chances and really kind of give defenders a hard time, especially if they're caught one on one. But if you don't have the final product, then we're going to be talking about them like we're talking about Cfmtl. So I mean, it's a very tough situation. But again, all these players have a lot to prove, and so I'm curious. I'm very excited. But again, that's definitely the spot that's giving me the most concern.
Hans, give us your take
Yeah,
on the attack.
yeah, same as Elias. I'm happy for Condé that he signed because there was missing a number nine position. For me, Marco is a great player, maybe one of the best nines in the province. But is he really ready for that CPL level yet? I don't think so. So he needs experience. As a second striker, he can be good, but starting every game, I was a bit worried. So the fact that they signed Condé, they had to because there were no really like real number nine of the team, and I think it's a bit playing against you if you put Kwame in the number nine because on the wing, especially with Abzi on the left side, they can be a threat down there. So I think you have to put those two on the left side and just I guess they will start with Conde, the number nine position. He's a great finisher. He has a great shot. He had a great season with NCAA with Markovic also, who's in MLS now. So yeah, and so I think for the first game, Kwame will be on the left side, Chouanier on the right side, and Conde up there in the number nine position. So
Ooh,
yeah, I
you're
think
talking
yeah. So
lineups already. All right, so who's gonna be at the 10?
Sean Ria,
Sean Ray.
I guess yeah, but
And
yeah, they have a lot of qualities like wingers. We talked about Riyad Bey, even Baya with his speed can play there. Omar, who is very good 1v1, but the real thing that was missing is a real number nine. So I'm excited and can't wait to see if Conde can fill that spot. So I think we'll have our answer game one.
I said it earlier. I think what really concerns me is FC Super du Quebec Quebec's attack. I'll tell you guys why. Because you just mentioned what could look like a really really lethal attack because they have experience or whatnot. But I mentioned it earlier. Same as defense. What happens with injuries? What happens with suspensions? What happens with this? What happens with that? The level that drops after a Chouanière leaves the field or a Sean Rea leaves the field is really, really concerning to me. And the fact that there are only, I believe, two natural strikers, if you're telling me Lloyd Quimby is probably going to play winger, it takes one striker out. It kind of concerns me that there are no strikers or only maybe one in the attack right now. It could change, right? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass right now, and I don't know what I'm talking about. But it concerns me to see that there's a lack of depth or competition in that striker position. Am I wrong in saying that, or do you guys see that
No,
can
I don't think you're wrong, but we need to also remember that they want to sign only Quebecois players, and there are not a lot of available number nine. If we look at last year, who had a great season in Ligue 1, Abdul and Binate, and I know that he was presented to Supra, but he had an offer in Estonia, so he went to Europe. They've tried Marinaro, but wasn't good enough. I think they tried Pierre McJeffrey, who has a lot of experience in France in the National Two League. Wasn't great enough for them. So there's not a lot of number nine
What about
available right
Owen
now.
Graham Roach? What about Owen Graham Roach and from CF Montreal? What about bringing him over?
Yeah, well, I heard that maybe no, the player didn't really want to be on loan, and so they tried to, but I don't think it was he wanted to. So, but it could have been a great addition to the
So
team. Yes.
there's no lack. It's a lack of fitting, right? It's a lack of the player maybe not wanting to do this or the player not fitting with FC Supra's plans. Elias, does this concern you in any way? Like you mentioned, there's a lot of potential, there's a lot of excitement, but at the same time, I feel like there's a lack in the attack.
No, I think that what's you look at some of the players that people would expect, right? There's one big name that's not on this list, and it's Johnny Barutabla. I think that
Yes.
that's one of the first names when you talk about those three that were presented, right? Rea, Chouanière, and Kwemi. I think Barutabla is one of the people that's that first signing, right?
But
That
they
marquee
tried,
signing.
right?
They tried, and that's a contractual thing, right? But when his contract is up, right? Also understand why a CPL team is not jumping out of bed to let another CPL team take their players. It's not surprising to me, but when this is also a matter of this is season one, right? They're not. It's not a 1 or 2 year project, right? And then okay, we're done. Thanks for coming, right? This is supposed to be something you're building. There is also someone that's 17 years old, Alexander Makarova.
Makarova.
You're gonna
See,
make
see,
fun of
look,
the way I say
the
the
one name I
names.
had to say
All
and I
right,
messed
bro.
it up.
All
See? But
right.
Alexander Makarova, who again is not a traditional nine, but he can play across the front three. He was at the CF Montreal Academy. He's at Lakeshore, and boatload of talent and so much promise, right? So again, this is if this is becomes a problem perpetually, and then it's a different story. Again, Jean-Yves Barutabla is not a striker, right, by trade, but I'm just talking about bringing in talent that's out there that's not necessarily at the club right now. So I'm not too concerned with that. Again, the situation with Owen Graham Roche too. I don't think the club was too eager to let him go. He is like they've only got 3 strikers right now because Sunusi Ibrahim is just like not there, and
Bring
Danny Rios
Sunusi
is.
Ibrahim to FC Super to Quebec.
And that I mean, hey, according to Rocco's rule, he fits.
Not Rocco,
according,
Mateo, okay?
according to sorry, Mateo's rule, because look, like according to what was it? It had to have like it was 5 years
C'est
of
quoi?
Quebec
Hands,
soccer.
explain to us. C'est quoi what's the
I
rules?
don't know about the years, but
What's it?
that you need to have contributed to soccer in Quebec or played for a Quebec
Something
team or
like that.
something like that. Yeah.
Look,
So he fits. Yeah.
it's the joint top scorer in Canadian Championship history. So that's all. No,
We're
like
starting
again,
the movement. Bring
I'm
Sunusi Ibrahim to FC Super de Quebec. We're starting
I've
the
been calling
movement.
him Canchamp Ronaldo for how long? But no, it's, on a
We'll
serious
be
note, though,
back.
right? Daniel Rios's fitness is in question. He's a bit older, so I mean, he injured his calf last week, right?
Yeah.
So Owen Graham Roche, just in terms of like warm bodies at striker, I don't think Montreal is very eager to let him go because they don't have anybody else. So again, I think that also kind of made it a little bit of a headache in terms of securing a loan for him. But at the same time, they said it. They weren't really looking for loans right now. A lot of their setup was made, and maybe in the next year or two when they look at loans, especially when you have people that are on fire in MLS that are Quebecois people even at home, right? Because again, it's a lot easier to loan someone to your in your own backyard than it is to have to worry about, oh my god, they're going all the way to Halifax. So I have to go to Halifax to watch his games and follow up on the process of my loan players. No, I just literally drive 20 minutes and he's there. So I think it's going to be curious to see how they handle this in the future. But right now, I'm not concerned at all with terms of recruiting attackers, recruiting players in general. I think they have the pull. It's just the stars need to align.
Okay, well, I guess I'm alone in my concern for the attack. Okay, so we did ask Hady Raphael. You guys know Hady Raphael as the creator of the show, and he's excited for this team as well and what's coming. We asked him what he thought of the FC Super du Quebec roster. He told us, having always been a big time defender of local talent, I'm super excited by the FC Super project. Looking at the roster, there's a nice blend of veteran players and young blood. Thank you so much, Elias. Looking at the roster, there's a nice blend of veteran players. There's the likes of Ferdinand, Bayiha, Abzi, Sissoko, and Rea. Rea have had decent or very good performances at the CPL level. Chouanière will be the big star, the guy that has seen it all. If he can carry the pressure on his shoulders, this team can be very good. The biggest worry for Coach Nicolas Rozagi will be to make sure that all the players are fit enough to play at the highest standard. A lot of these players haven't been playing professionally yet, and it's up to the staff to make sure they're all at the same level or close to the same level. Also, I'm very, very excited to see Charles Auguste, Calin, again, not going to say his name, Loic Kwemi, and Mathis Chrétien, that I've heard a lot about in the past few years. This is their chance to shine. So this is Hady's take on the roster. So very excited. We're all excited to see how these talents develop. But let's go ahead and move on from the roster. Guys, Hans, Elias, and me too. We all gone to some preseason games, practices during the offseason. Based on what we've seen so far in those showcases, what have you seen that you like? Hans, I'll start with you. What have you seen that you liked from these practices and the games and all that?
So yeah, I didn't go to any practices, but I went to a lot of games. Yeah, because school, so
Yeah.
couldn't go.
How
Yeah.
dare you?
Come on, man.
Yeah, sorry.
Come on,
I
man.
should have missed class. Yeah, but but yeah, I've seen some of the games, and I think they're a great team with the ball. They have a lot of great players that can keep the ball. They can play under pressure, especially when Usama is on the field. He looks so composed, so the team looks like relaxed, and I like how they play it. Of course, it was against the Ligue 1 sides or even Ligue 1 Ontario they played. I didn't see the games against MLS Next team, but from what I've seen, I think they're a great team with the ball. Now, it's how they react without the ball. I know they conceded too much goals for me. If we look at the game against RDP, where they conceded four, they conceded one against Ice Lava, but it was on a corner. So I'm not worried with the ball. They have a lot of quality. They can go forward with the ball. I talk about Abzi, who's a threat on the left side, but my main concern is how they will react without the ball, especially against sides from CPL who can go very fast. I'm thinking about Forge or Atletico. So yeah, but from the games I've seen, I like the tactical way of playing of Supra. I think Nick, has the players to be a team that keep the ball, slow possession, and in the final third they attack really quickly. So yeah, slow build up and stuff like that. I expect them to play like that for next Saturday.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Hans gave us his like and dislike. Elias, what have you seen in maybe the practices, the games? You've also been to a few. What have you seen that you liked and maybe didn't like?
Yeah, I think you look at the RDP game, you look at
We lost
the
Hans.
Carabin game. Oh, he's back. You look at
Hans doesn't care about your
the
opinion.
Carabin game. You look at the RDP game. It was a mix of contract players and trialists, and it was clear, who was a trialist for a lot of that. Especially the Carabin game. The Carabin game was honestly tough to watch because I think they, through actual build up play, managed to work their way into the final third like handful of times. I can count on one hand the amount of times they actually worked their way into not even a shot, just getting in there. Again, Bois Boulogne is a very small field. It's not there's not a lot of room, but again, you're playing against your professional players. You should be able to at least build out consistently. I'm not saying create chances necessarily, but that was a bit concerning. But again, I my bigger concern is it's not really concern, but this is Nick Rizzagi's first time coaching pro, right? He's succeeded and he's thrived, not just succeed, he's thrived in every position he's been in, right? Whether it's collegial, whether it's semi-pro. So again, I'm not worried about his tactical acumen, but now when it comes to, again, we talked about all these players, can they handle the jump to the pro level? We had the interview with David Chouanier, right, where he talked about how a lot of the pro guys kind of have to almost take like a newly professional player under the wing almost and kind of show them the ropes of being a professional player. I want to see Nick Rizzaghi and his reaction to the demands of a professional coach. We talked about it a bit when we cover CF Montreal, right? It's not only like, the mistakes are going to be inevitable, right? You're not going to walk in and it's going to be perfect right away. How do you react to the mistakes? Do you grow from them? Do you learn from them? And that's really what, because again, I've spoken with Nick. We've interviewed Nick. We've had Nick on the show, on the podcast, and we've had him. We should definitely check out that interview. Little plug there. But he's a guy who's he's very pensive. He's all he's very, a little bit introspective. So like he's going to learn, and I don't think he's one of those people that's just going to blindly go like, I'm right, leave me alone, man. So like that's not a concern. But it's definitely something that I want to watch, and it's definitely something that I think that is probably going to be one of the stronger points, because this staff is very strong. It's not just Nick Rizzac, right? Hans talked about Laurent Simon. That's not just help for the defense, right? This is a man that's played for the Belgian national team. He's played in Europe. He's played for CF Montreal. He's coached at CF Montreal. He was the finalist for the head coaching job at the club. So, I mean, this is definitely someone is going to help bring in a lot of pedigree and a lot of experience. So I'm really excited to see how the team as a whole grows, because I don't want them to get too bogged down in the pressure of, there's been a lot of hype, ça vous nous fait rêver, right? I appreciate that, and I can't wait for that. But you still have to play football. You have to play good football, and that involves both sides of the ball. So yeah, fais-moi rêver. Give me a nice show, but also give me good, solid, concrete football.
Yeah, but that's exactly the same kind of conversation, Elias, we had deja vu maybe a year ago now, where we talked about Rose FC and we talked about Robert Rosatoyu, and we said each player, each profile, we were super excited to see. We were super excited to watch play, but at the same time, what happens when the shit hits the fan? What happens when it gets going bad? And Hans, that's what worries me a little bit too, because I want to see FC Super succeed and all that, but as Elias mentioned, Nick Rizzachi, right now, what do we know about him? We don't know much. He did have his success at Saint Laurent. He came on the show. He talked to us about the success, how he super surprised he was, but he's a first-year coach in the CPL. And now he has Laurent Simon, who, as Elias mentioned, has such good credits to his name. But what does that mean for Nick Rizzachi? Does it make him a better coach? Does it automatically make FC Super better? Like, well, this is where it's a little bit concerning. Is like, we want to see that improve in the city. What do you think of that? Of this, the impact of the coaching staff, and how important it's going to be for them to develop over the season. Sorry.
Yeah, so I've heard that Razagi is a coach that is very close to the players. So with Saint Laurent, I heard a lot of great stories about him. So he's a great character. But now on the pitch, it's where it should be interesting, because the run that they Saint Laurent had in the Canadian Championship 2 years ago, is it because he was a genius tactically, or because he had very great players? They were,
Good
Usama played.
question.
No, Usama played unbelievable. Even Yann Touali, Safwan Mla, Nathan Goulen behind, Loïc Kwemi. So, uh, is it because he's a great coach, or because he had great players? So now we will see. It's a test for him. And Rocco Placentino said they want to win right away. Well, they want to make playoffs. They want to be a competitive team. So are they gonna leave him time, to perform, or if he doesn't perform in the first 7 games, is he going to be out? Because Lahosima has a lot of experience. I'm surprised he's an assistant coach also because he was assistant coach with CF Montreal. I know he doesn't want to do like the
Yeah,
away
yeah,
games and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a bit excited to see how it goes. But for Nick Razaki, it's a step to take right in his career. I think he's done everything in the material levels. So now he needs, well, not he needs, but he's arrived where he needs to be. But is he going to perform there? That's the other question. And he has great players, maybe not the deepest squad in the league, but enough to fight for a playoff spot. So if he's not fighting for a playoff spot right away, uh, will they give him time? That's my major concern.
And I think Hans brings actually a really good point, Elias, where he says we don't know if he was a really good coach or he had really good players. We talked about the same thing when it was Wilfred Nancy at CF Montreal. We said, wow, is it that Wilfred Nancy got lucky that he has fantastic players? Or is it that Wilfred Nancy is a fantastic coach? And I think he proved it after CF Montreal that he's a really, really good coach. Is it the same thing with Nick Razagi right now? Are we gonna really base it on that? Does he have like a little asterisk next to his name right now because it's his first year coach? Do you have patience? How do you see it?
Yeah, it's different because at the same time, Wilfred Nancy had the resources of maybe
Yeah,
not
of
at
course. Yeah,
Montreal, but at Columbus had the
yeah,
resources of a top club, a club that's chasing players, a club that's attracting talent. And CF Montreal, you could talk about lightning in a bottle a little bit, but they sought to go out there and pay for Alistair Johnston. They sought to go out there and pay for Melchioro, and yeah, they got George Mihailovic on a bargain. But you know, they still had to be certain players in place, but they missed the playoffs the first season, right?
yeah.
The only player they added two players really to the core of that team in between that season and that famous 22 season, which was Alistair Johnston and Ismail Kone. They're both fantastic, but that's not the difference between missing the playoffs and finishing second in the league. So he's obviously has a level of talent, and Nick Rizagi, Viverpa, he has succeeded in everything he's done, right? And yeah, of course, that team that made the Canadian Championship run was closer to a CPL team than it was a League One team. Honestly, it's you look back at the players that they have, and it boggles the mind how you managed to get them all in a semi-pro club at the same time. It's crazy, but I've seen worse managers do worse with better teams, right? That's the like, at the end of the day, you still have to play the team in front of you. You still have to field the team you have. You still have to organize them in a way that enables success. And so, especially with the way this team is set up offensively, at least, I feel like it's more his job to enable his players to be creative and express themselves than it is for him to drill them tactically on the offensive side of the ball. Where we'll really see the test in the middle of how this guy is going to coach is how they do defensively, right? And you have Laurent Simon there to help, obviously. But I think that's where 90% of this guy's coaching is going to be done. Because offensively, you have the creation, you kind of reinforce the patterns and stuff like that, and squad selection, man manager, all that stuff is obviously important. But when it comes to pure X's and O's, offensively, it's more just giving them the space to be creative. Because you look at all these players, right? And they all thrive in one-on-one situations or in areas where they can, show what they do best. So are you going to be the coach that's going to kind of, slap somebody in the wrist when they try something that they shouldn't and it doesn't come out well? Or are you going to go, you tried something, very low percentage, like a low percentage pass, or you tried to take on two people at once and stuff like that, right? Or you tried a shot from 30 yards out. It happens. Or are you going to, or is it actively going to lower them in the depth chart because of one thing? And so I think that once that happens, players stop trying things, and naturally talented players become more conservative, and then they lose the spark and they lose what makes them special. And then all of a sudden they look average. So I think Nick Rizagi is able to kind of draw those distinctions. That's what we saw at Saint Laurent. Now it's about creating, again, like I said earlier, it's a viable footballing system. And that means defensive accountability and defensive responsibility. Because you have people like, if you have Abzi and Baya just like sprinting up the wings, obviously it's going to look fantastic, but it's also going to look pretty shit if they get countered 10 times a game. And then you have, center backs and Joachim Milli that are kind of left out to dry
Yeah.
because you're throwing numbers forward. So that's more the tactical what I want to see from Nick Rizaghi. But again, I have no reason to doubt it because he's done well everywhere. So until he gives me a reason to doubt him, I'm not gonna.
Now I have a really funny question now. I want to
Uh-oh.
know, will FC Supra du Quebec take the league, the CPL, by surprise? I'll start with Hady, what Hady said. He said, it all depends on what you mean by surprise. I think the team can fight for a place in the playoffs and be a nice CPL team. What nice CPL team means to Hady is beyond me, but it all depends on the level of fitness and readiness of these key players that I mentioned above, which were the players that we talked about a little bit earlier. Hans, I'll start with you. Can this team take the league by surprise?
Yeah, so like Ali said, a good surprise or a bad surprise, I don't know, but I
What a
don't think
politically fantastic, correct answer to say, huh?
I don't think teams like I always repeat Forge or Atletico, but I don't think they're afraid. Honestly, I don't think they're afraid. I think you know the Supra project. It's exciting. The new team to CPL brings something new, but I don't think they do damage. They'll win like 11 games in a row or whatever. I think it'll be a great team that can fight for a playoff spot. I expect them to do it because they want to they want to win right away. So I hope they can fight for a playoff spot. But I don't think it will be a surprise in the sense that they they'll win the title right away or something like that. That's my point of view.
Okay. Elias, I'll ask you the next question, but before I ask you the next question, I also do want to take it Hattie's take before. What does FC Supra need to do this season to consider it a success? Hattie tells us making the playoffs their first season will be a magnificent achievement. Realistically, they should aim for fifth or sixth place the first season, and that would be very positive. That's on the pitch. Off the pitch, attracting people to games will be key. They need to make they need to make it so that they can coexist with CF Montreal and that they can fill the stadium time and time again. This will be crucial for the project. Elias, if it's up to you, what does FC Super need to do this season to consider it a success?
I think it depends on what you want out of this club, because like it or not, this is a club that's boxed themselves into a very narrow space, right? And yeah, they have some leniency. They have people born outside Quebec, obviously, but it's still a very narrow box compared to every other club in the world, almost, with their policies of recruitment and transfers and stuff like that. For me, a successful season is two things. One is you have, at least 2/3 of the stadium full for the entire season. So Stade Boreal is what, 7,000, 6.5, 7,000. I want at least 4,000 people there every single game on average, right? I think they're going to sell it the first couple just because culturally
You.
this is one of the biggest things to happen to Quebec soccer in forever. And so I think they're going to sell it the first couple games. But when you get into the dog days of summer and you get into the end of the season, if it's still there, that's a massive success. Second of all, is proof of concept, right? I'm not necessarily going to put standings in any spot, but this team, a team that is forced to be respected and acknowledged and not seen as 3 points or a team that you could just rotate against. Right? Those are the two things for me. Because again, I'm not in this for, obviously I'd love it if they win titles and stuff like that and they're competitive in the future. For me, this is a cultural project. So I'm not, and again, I know that they're competitive. Obviously, I'm not going to say that they're in this just for the vibes. But for me, what I want out of this is an outlet for Quebecois soccer, culturally speaking, because this is a monumental undertaking, and this is such a great achievement in just feeling the team and having it be competitive is a statement, because no other province, no other state or province in North America could do that, where they say we're only going to get people from Ontario or Alberta or Pennsylvania or any and make a competitive professional soccer team, I don't think anywhere is going to be able to do that. Right? Maybe like California, maybe some real, maybe Texas, real hubs of American soccer, but definitely
Miami.
nowhere in Canada can claim to that, make a claim to that. So that's for me is far more important because it's about Quebec soccer. It's about the culture that bred it, and the fact that it is the most unique soccer culture and soccer community on the continent, or at least in North America, at least Canada, United States. So for me, that is something that I'm much more passionate about and much more demanding of than any finishing in the standings.
Okay, I get it. For me, it would be a mix of what Hans and Eli said, where it's important that FC Super du Quebec sells out games, that the football that they're watching is a lot more entertaining than anything else that they're watching. So it's more entertaining than Roses FC, more entertaining than CF Montreal. It has to be entertaining. It has to be worth it because, as you guys mentioned at the beginning of the show, ex- gas is fucking expensive right now, man. So people have to pick their trips. I'm joking about it, but people have to pick their trips. And what trip are they going to go? Are they going to go to Stade Saputo when CF Montreal is playing? Are they going to go to Laval to watch Roses or or Jesus or FC Super de Quebec? Right. So it's important the success that they make it worth it for the fan when they go to the stadium, and that's what's going to be considered successful. You're absolutely right, Elias. The standings, not something I'm concerned about, but they can't be a team that's not taken seriously by the rest of the league. It's important that they surprise the league in a good way. In a good way, be it that I'm not saying that they have to score 7 goals every game, but at least be competitive. At least show that there is quality in Quebec. Every interview that we had with Nick Orzaghi or we've had with Rocco Placentino on this show, they've always made it a point to say, we're out here to prove that Quebec has talent, that Quebec is worth it, that they've been getting ignored too much, right? And this is a question that I asked to Hady. I asked him, was it the right time for FC Supra du Quebec to join the CPL with CF Montreal and Roses FC fighting for attention? That's the truth of it, guys. It's a business, right? These three teams are a business, and at the end of the day, what they want is they want people's money to go to the game, right? So my question is, we've seen teams fold in the CPL. I believe so far there's been two clubs that have folded. So I asked Hady that. Hady tells me it's way overdue. That was his answer. This project should have started in 2019. Now, thanks to COVID and Media Pro, the league hasn't developed as much as anticipated, and that's a good thing for the FC Supra. It's well organized. If well organized, it will take 3 to 5 years for the team to compete with powerhouses like Atletico Ottawa, Cavalry FC, and Forge FC. But there's a place in the top 4 for them to reach in the first 3 seasons, if all the ducks are in a row. So, guys, we're gonna get to the predictions. Okay, to end this segment with the FC Supra. Hans, I'll start with you. Don't think about it. Quick, Hans.
Yeah,
Best player of the season.
Abdi.
Elias, best player of the season.
I'm not going to repeat myself. I'm not going to repeat, but I'm going to go Kwemi.
Chouanière. Where in the table does FC Supra finish? Hans, don't think.
Fifth. Fifth.
Elias.
Seventh.
I'll go 7th. All right. Who needs this season, player or staff? Who needs this season to go perfect for them? Hans, I'll start with. No, you know what? Hans, I'll let you think a bit. I've been hard.
No, I know my answer. I
Oh, he
know.
knows. Let's
Yeah.
go. God. Who needs this season to be perfect for them? Player or
Uh,
staff?
Nick Orzaghi.
Eh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll let you expand on that, but Elias, go ahead.
I don't like this question. I'm gonna say Abubakar Sissoko.
Okay. I'm going to say Sean Rea. Hans, why Nick Orzaghi?
I think he has a lot of pressure on his shoulders because that's Rocco or Matteo or they expect him to perform with this team. They're not there just to be there and have fun and say, okay, we have our team now, we can just chill. They're there to perform, and there's a lot of expectation towards this team because there's a lot of attention, like media from Europe and stuff that they done articles about Supra, and they need to show that they're a serious project. Not okay, we wanted to do a project, now it's done, so we're fine and we're just gonna watch games and chill. So I think from my point of view, he's the one that needs to be the most successful right away. If we talk about Kwemi, I think if he doesn't score in the first 4 or 5 games, I don't think his spot is in danger for the rest of the season.
Mhm.
Exactly with the same thing with I don't know, Chouanier. He's the captain, so of course they need to perform because they're big heads in the team. They're star players, I'd say, but they won't their contract won't get terminated or whatever. But Nick Razaki, he's the head coach. He's the face of the team. So he's the one that needs to show that he has the shoulders to bring this team to an elite level in this league.
All right, Elias, your choice.
Kind of it's almost like a knee jerk reaction with Sissoko because the midfield is so competitive. There's so many people that maybe different profiles, but are fighting for the same areas on the pitch, right? Especially if we end up having Guemi as a winger and having Rea drop into the midfield because that again, Sean Rea with his quality, that's a spot. That's the midfield that is, there's no one that's going to compete with him for that spot, at least right now. And then you have, Bielo, you have Buganmi, you have Kalajoglu, you have Safwan Mla, you have all these players, even Olivier Correa, when he gets going, are all going to be competing for two spots if this is a 4-3-3, right? And so I think he has the most pressure because he is the big dog in the midfield coming in. He was, outstanding at Dudem Carabin. He was the best player in the country at U Sports when he was there. Then he made the jump to Atletico Ottawa, and he was fantastic there. He took him to he helped them get to the finals. He helped them, have this incredible rivalry with Forge, and so he has all this. He has the same amount of pressure as David Chouanier, but with infinitely more competition. And so I think that for him, at least the start of the season, he has hit the ground running. And so far, I haven't been amazed by him in the preseason from what I've seen. I mean, he's obviously excellent and he's obviously, starting caliber, but I haven't been like, oh, that guy is going to be the guy in the midfield, right? I've been much more impressed with people like Usama Bouganmi.
Same, same in practice. I'll say Sean Rea, and I'll keep it very simple because so far, everywhere Sean Rea has gone has not worked out. You can say it's this, you can say it's
Except for Valor.
A, B, except for Valor. But he's had how many chances? And now he's what 24? If I saw 20, he's not getting any younger in any case, but
He's 24,
he's 23. He's 23.
23.
But
23.
in soccer years, is 23 young? Is
Yes.
23?
Yes.
I feel like the fact that we have 18-year-olds and 17-year-olds and
Exactly.
16-year-olds now has warped our perception of what he's still got 6 years before he's 30. Like, and when you play in the 10, your legs are not as important. So like he's still got plenty of time.
I'm 38 years old and I feel like I'm 58. So when you're 23
You're not
and
a
you're
professional athlete.
So, anyways, all I'm saying is Sean Rea has had a lot of chances. I think and there's been always something that happens that he ends up losing his starting spot. Except, like as you mentioned, he did have his success in Valor. If he doesn't succeed in a team like FC Supra du Quebec, what's next for him? And that's why I say it's so important that he has a perfect season. I'm not talking about injuries and suspensions. I'm just talking about the moments he's on the field. Whenever he's on the field, he can't be just another winger. He can't just be another attacker. He needs to be impactful. I think we've been so focused on David Chouanier and Loic Coimi that we kind of forgot about Sean Rea. And that's okay. Maybe he doesn't do well under pressure. I don't know. But whatever it takes, he needs to have a perfect season. And he's part of a very strong offense, attacking core that needs to perform for this team to have any chance this season.
I don't really agree with you, and here's why.
I don't care.
Well, you're gonna hear it anyway.
Damn it! Sorry, Hans, you have to see this.
It's okay.
Because
It's okay.
I agree with you on everything you said, but
Yeah.
I think that's also why there's less pressure on him, because the fact that he's 24, there's always going to be a spot for him here, even if it's not as a starter. He is in no danger of losing his position at the club, right? In the depth chart, maybe, but as a member of the club, there's always going to be a place for, at least for the next couple of years, there's going to be a place for him. So I think for him, the pressure is more as a marquee player that was used as like an OG signing. I agree with you. But perfect, I don't know if he has that kind of pressure because he's still 24.
23.
So
Hans,
I agree with you with the fact that like his time at CF and then his time where did he go after CF? He was at Wanderers, right? It wasn't
and he went
great,
to Spain for a little bit, which didn't work out.
right? That makes life a bit difficult. But he has a certain amount of job security here where he won't get it anywhere else because of the fact that they have the Quebecois rule, but also the fact that it's more just he's one of the players now. I feel like
Hans, what do you think of the Sean Rea thing? Do you agree, disagree? Have you forgotten about him with all the other players going around?
No, no, I did not forget about. No, no, I did not forget.
Good,
But I don't
good.
think he. I don't think he needs a perfect season because, well, first of all, a perfect season means he's scoring like 30 goals and stuff, and I don't think his main role is to score goals. I think he needs to create, or he has the key to the offense, but he's more gonna create space for others or whatever. But no, I don't think he's really in danger because he's from here. He played with Steph Montreal. He's a star in this lineup, and I don't think they will give up on him after 1 year. Um, like Elias said, he's still young. Yeah, 23 is young, and I think he puts more pressure on himself than we put pressure on him. So I think he's in the right environment to succeed. He's back home, in front of people he knows. It's not in the MLS. It's in the CPL, a level that he knows. Not I won't say that he's proven, but he knows the league, he knows the level. So I think it's just perfect for him to perform. But I don't expect him to be perfect. But I expect him to be a leader offensively in this group.
Okay. Well, you guys disagree with me. That's cool. I'll stick by my guns. I still think he needs to have a Hans. Thank you so much for joining us today and bringing us your take on FC Supra. It was super fun having you on the show.
it
Where
was
can
super
the
fun.
Okay, Elias. And I'm the 38-year-old. I'm just like, oh, adults, I hate this. Anyways, Hans, thank you so much. Where can the people find you besides playing soccer, obviously?
Yeah,
Where can people find you?
can find me on X. So my name as Junior Najeme. So I talk about Supra, CF Montreal, Quebecois in Europe or whatever, just football in Quebec. So you can follow me there.
Nice, nice. And in the field, where do you play? What position you play?
I'm a center back. Center back. So
Oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
defender.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
Center
Elias
back.
was a center back too. Damn.
Hell yeah.
Big
Oh yeah.
boys, big boys. Always. All right. Well,
Exactly.
look,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us. And we
Thank you.
hope you're more than welcome to come back whenever you want. And thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. And we'll be talking FC Super all season long. So I'm sure you'll jump in every once in a while to give your takes on the game as well. So,
Yes.
all right. Well, thank you guys. And before we're going to go on and move on to the next segment, but just a quick word from our sponsors. Hello, the Ballers Rounders. This show is sponsored by AR Design. I can tell you that in my case, as you can see in my background, I need some change. This is why I reached out to, my wife reached out to Allison from AR Designs to bring some change in my space. You can't see it now, but over the next few weeks, this room is about to get a little funky with the way it looks. I thought Allison will come to my place and turn the place upside down right away. But before changing anything, she made sure to really understand what my vision was for our place and what budget we were working for. And based on that, she gave us some advice and some ideas as to what our place could look like in the future. And that's when we knew that we had reached out to the right person. Like a soccer team working together for the perfect goal, AAR Interior Design coordinates every detail of your interior design project, so your home comes together beautifully. From concept to final touches, Allison makes sure every element works in harmony. Visit ardesign.ca today to see her latest interior design project, or follow the links that you see below me on her Instagram, email, or the website, or you can just find the links on the YouTube description. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, AR Design. Alrighty then. So we're in the last part of our show tonight, where we're gonna talk about CF Montreal, baby, because they still exist, even though some people are claiming that the season is done. CF Montreal lost their 5th game of the season on Saturday night against lowly New England Revolution, ending their 6th-game road trip. Next week, the team is back. We've lost Elias. We've lost Elias on the pod. Next week, the team is back at Stade Saputo to play versus the Philadelphia Union, who are having their own struggles right now. But who the hell cares? Because, CF Montreal always matches the level of whoever they're facing. But let's talk about the game first, quickly. Elias, we're just going to, usually, guys, we break it down position by position. We look at the lineup, Elias. We're just going to do it quick, man. What'd you think of the...
Before we start, you want to know what the worst thing's gonna happen? You want to know the worst part about this coming Saturday?
What?
They're gonna give Philly their first points of the season for sure. It's written in the stars, man. It's written in the stars, and it breaks my heart, man. But like, god damn it, Philly coming to Montreal with 0 points. You tell me what's gonna happen.
You know what's a little bit worrisome is the lack of interest. The lack. I'm talking about outside the field. Outside the field, okay, not in the field. The lack of interest so far that's been going on in covering CF Montreal. We cover them. We're here in this podcast. We go on Twitter. We go on X. We go to practice. You write for the Canadian Press. I write my own thing as well, and we do Op Watch. We're covering them. Elias, how many reporters? Let's be honest. Let's be real. How many reporters were at the post-game press conference for CF Montreal on Saturday?
I wasn't there. I was at the League One launch event. That was like basically soccer from noon to 9 o'clock. So I was.
Everybody was somewhere. Everybody was not there. You know how many reporters there were?
It was like 3.
1. Damn. Jean-François Théotonio had the floor to himself to talk to everybody. So this, and you know what? It's a mix of things, right? It's a mix of things. It's a mix of them playing really bad and nothing being done to fix it. And the Habs are also doing really,
the Habs
really
are good
well.
again. The Habs are really have so much more competition.
And you
the
have
Habs are good again. The Victoires are good again. God help you if the Supra and Roses are good. Because they may not play at the same times. By the way, shout out to the NSL, CPL, and MLS, because at no point do Roses, Supra, and CF Montreal play in Montreal on the same day.
Perfect.
Which is fantastic, because those double headers took years off my life. I hated that shit. But so that's a small little tidbit. Obviously, I don't think it was on purpose, or at least not completely on purpose, but that's very convenient for a lot of fans that want to watch as much of the 3 clubs as possible. But yeah, dude, like, you have this many clubs in the city, and now they're actually doing good. You have to go above and beyond to give people a reason to follow your club.
The Habs could have had a 3-game winning streak on a bad season, and they'll have more media coverage than CF Montreal with a 20. But it's just it goes to show you, it's worrisome. It's concerning. I'm not trying to mock it. I'm not trying to make fun of it. It's concerning. It's concerning because I wasn't able to go because it was Easter weekend. All these things. Which, by the way, to our listeners, anybody who celebrates,
that also doesn't help.
Happy Easter to anybody who celebrates. I just said that at the beginning of the show.
My Easter's next week, baby. Hell yeah!
All right, let's get
Greek Easter.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Anyways, moving on. So,
hey, we're cooking a whole lamb. So you know what?
Tell me more.
Yeah, now you're interested. Now I said we're cooking a whole lamb, and all of a sudden,
what's your address? I want to know.
My what?
I said, what's your address? I want to know. Send me your pin. Send me your pin location. But no, it's just, to me, it's very concerning. It's concerning
Yeah,
because I think this team needs the coverage. This team needs the attention, especially that there's the event for the season ticket holders on Wednesday. Tell us that you're going to be there, Elias. I'm not going to be there, but there needs to be more. I don't know if it's more marketing or just simply better football when they're playing. Because right now it is atrocious to watch. Let's quickly go over the New England Revolution game, okay? Because
yeah, because we have to.
first of all, I tweeted it, that lineup that we saw at the beginning. If you're telling me Marco Donadel is fighting for his life right now in this game, I'm going to give you this lineup. I'm telling you, no, not a chance we win. Not a chance we win. And because it just doesn't feel like he's putting his best 11 on the field.
But they came back from the international break too, right? Sinchuk played a lot. I think that's why he didn't play. Tarasa didn't play at all. Brian Veta's hurt. The only really big surprise for me was Jalen Neal not playing. And his fitness is still not 100% because Max Tuman reported on it today. So, I understand why, but who else is going to play? Who else is there? What other options does he have? Therein lies the problem,
But what I don't know. If you're desperate, I find a way to make Hady Raphael start. If you're desperate, because they are professional and he's young. He's young. When we talk about age a little bit earlier with FC Supra, he's young. I think he could have taken playing the
He's
full
but
90.
the child. The poor man is but the child.
But yet,
he's yeah, I get it.
why aren't you putting a Samuel Piet out there? We've talked about it over and over again in the show. Why is Samuel Piet not there? Did he even play on Saturday against New England? Did he get a minute?
He didn't. Nope.
Why?
I feel like we're beating a dead horse at this point. Honestly,
and look, we're in the
it's
sixth game of the season. Now I'm gonna go ahead and play the. Just ask the real questions here, Elias. Let's just ask the questions, okay? Who is it? Whose fault is it? Is it the players underperforming? I've said it in the show. You've disagreed with me a bunch.
Mhm.
But this team is one coach away from being good. I do not believe in Marco Donadel's project right now. I do not. The way he's been putting the lineups, doing the tactics week after week since the start of the season, I don't think it's right for this team. If he doesn't change that, then I don't think this season's gonna get any better. But if he does do something to change it, then maybe there will be some improvement. I'm not saying as Marco Donadel as a person, just the decisions he's making before the game and during the game that keeps screwing this team over and over again. Is a replacement going to be better? I don't know. But right now, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like the right fit.
And here is the thing, really. They played really fucking well. We're past half an hour. I can swear now. They played. They played really. They played really well.
Yeah.
Right. Again, you don't score any goals. No, they played well. You can't say they played really well without scoring a goal. But tactically, I have nothing to disagree or be upset with Marco Nadal over. Because when you look at they had 3 real chances, right? The third goal, you send numbers forward to try and get a result. You get countered. That's soccer. It happens. I'm talking about the 2 goals. I'm talking about that big chance that was Lagoni, I think, that had 1v1 with Gillier and he put it wide, right? Those 3 instances were all individual errors. Individual brain farts. The first goal, Efraim Morales falls asleep and lets a ball that he should have gotten a foot on get past him. Julie makes a nice save. Then Brendan Craig forgets that there's other people around him, and the guy just walks around him, and scores. That's not a tactical mistake. That's just defenders not doing their job. The chance, the 1v1 against Gillier, Efraim Morales from 45 million miles away thinks I'm going to win that header. That's 45 million miles away, and I have no chance of winning.
Yeah.
And guess what? He doesn't win the header. and then they come back, and then Victor Latourie for some reason doesn't come over to cover, and he's one worried about, and it's very fundamental defense. You come over, and then Luca Petrasso would have covered for him. It would, that again is an individual error, right? That's not a tactical problem. That's individual mistakes. And then you talk about the second goal, and it's just bad set piece marking, right? But tactically, what do you want Marco Donadel to have done differently? Because they controlled the game. They hit 2 posts. Ivan Jaime looked the best he's ever looked in a CF Montreal shirt. Are we in agreement? He was fantastic. He hit the post on a beautiful shot. That free kick was a thing of beauty. And again, chapeau to Matt Turner. That was a fantastic save, but that was glorious.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
David Bugai turned into prime Roberto Carlos out of nowhere. So that's another thing I talk about, because David Bugai, all of a sudden, right? Where have you been? Where have you been, my friend? He was excellent. But that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Marco Donadel did nothing wrong. We talked about the Cincinnati game, right? Marco Donadel did nothing wrong until he started making substitutions. But today, the substitutions did not improve anything. Noah Streit and O'Hare Escobar were okay. Hennady Sinchuk wasn't super effective, but they did not actively throw the game. It was more just a like for like substitution, which is fine. But Marco Donadel, I have nothing to reproach him for this game, because he set his team up to win, and they did not get the job done. So, you go with that game, you go with the Red Bulls game. That's 2 good games he's had out of 6. That is a problem. I agree with you. But based on this game alone, they cannot fire him on based on this game alone.
Okay, if he set up his team perfectly, maybe his tactics, Marco Donadel's tactics, are way too advanced for the players. Maybe he needs to break it down even a little bit, make it simpler for them. Because right now, I think this team is overthinking every situation, and you mentioned a lot of individual mistakes. Individual mistakes happens when you have young players, inexperienced players that are not used to certain situations. The team made it a point to sign more experienced players this offseason, and they did. But it doesn't take away from the fact that there are very important individual mistakes being done. And so is Marco Donadel overcoaching his players? Is it too much right now for them to take in all that information, when he really needs to dumb it down for them and really go back to the basics? Because, as you mentioned, it's just a lot. Efrain Morales making a knuckleheaded decision, right? Like a knuckleheaded decision that cost this team an opportunity. But it's now, what do you do with David Bugai? Because you mentioned it, which we do have to talk about. We talked about in this show over and over again. Why isn't he coming? Why isn't he coming? Why all of a sudden he starts, and he played, if I'm not wrong, the full 90 minutes of the game.
Yep, and he was fantastic.
He played like he deserves a spot, and that's what we wanted to see from David Bugai. But Bodhi Hidalgo is going to come back, right? And so it's one of those things where I'm concerned as, okay, like I said, what if we fire Marco Donadel tomorrow? Who are we going to put at the helm? Does Philippe Lafra even want to be a head coach? Maybe he's completely fine with just being the facilitator between the academy and the first team. But it's just, right now, it just feels like this team is very broken. It's disconnected. I felt like you said Ivan Jaime had one of his better games. I don't disagree with you. I think he played less desperate, because it felt like the other performances was him being desperate to do something. And now he actually just played like
he let the game come to him. Absolutely.
Yeah,
You're 100%
he just
right.
did very natural things, but it doesn't take away from the fact that his colleagues, like Prince Owusu right now, who I think continues being a great performer, is overthinking situations. They're overthinking the moments. And I have a question. I just want a yes or no. Is this team playing not to lose? Well, maybe not a yes or no question. Playing not to lose or playing to win? Do you think they're playing to win or to not lose? Not to get their asses handed to them like they have week after week.
I think they're playing to win. I think Marco Donadel is playing not to lose. Because when you look at how he handled the Cincinnati game, that's a man playing not to lose. But you look at how, people are reacting to the players are reacting to that. You look how the players start the game. You look how the players are playing. Whether you like it or not, Efrain Morales stepping out of nowhere was a mistake, but it was a mistake made out of a desire to win. Because if he was playing not to lose, he sits back and he goes, I'm just going to make sure I don't get scored on. It's 1-0 there. You don't want to go 2-0 because you're getting close to killing the game. So he stays back. So I think Marco Donadel is playing not to lose right now because his job is on the line. I think the players are playing to win because they know that they can. They know they have the talent to win. And remember, right? They hit 3 posts on Saturday, and on top of that, you had like 2 or 3 fantastic saves from Matt Turner. It's unfortunate. It's a bummer, and but they were significantly better than New England was. Significantly for the entire, and I'm not talking about 20 minutes there. They were good. They could have won. No, for like 80 minutes, they were significantly better. And so
I agree. I just think
that's the bummer because we're having the same conversation we had last year.
Yeah.
And what was my biggest fear when we talked about in the preseason? We talked about my biggest fear was not that this team gets worse because it's very difficult to do worse than you did last year. My biggest fear was that they stagnate. Was that we come back after every game and have the same conversations we were having during the 2025 season. And what are we doing right now? We're having the exact same conversations. We played well. We don't deserve this. Yeah, you didn't deserve to lose 3-0. You deserve to lose 1-0 or 2-1. Bravo. But you still deserve to lose.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it's the
same script. That was my biggest fear. So now we're at home. So I hope is what kills you. But I hope that this team can kind of get some footing under them and that the crowd shows up. We actually got a question from Tate.
Yeah.
Tate Brooks. What do you think the attendance for the Impact's home opener is going to be? I think it's going to be decent.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be like 16 or 17,000. I don't think they're going to sell out. But what do you think, Andy?
I think it's going to be packed, and I'll tell you why. This fan base is an incredible fan base. The Montreal Impact fan base, the CF Montreal fan base is an incredible one. It's like you and me, Elias. We love this club. We love this club. We love this club, ride or die. Good moments or bad moments, we are there for it. And that's what this fans, the Montreal Impact, CF Montreal, are so lucky to have. I've followed teams in other sports that have terrible fan bases, that they are literally bandwagoners, come in and out when they're good or go out when they're bad. I'm talking about Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, those teams, the worst fans in the world. CF Montreal fans, Montreal Impact fans, they love this team to a fault. And that's why they're going to be so critical. Is it heartbreaking to read? Absolutely. When you read the comments, when you read everything that is being said out there, Elias, you and I have run into people, into fans in the stadium. We've run into them in events, and they're just honest. The other day, I was at church for Easter, and there was somebody that came up to me and said, "Hey, Andy, how did CF Montreal do it?" I was like, "Oh, geez, they're everywhere, because they love this club. They're season ticket holders. They want this club to succeed. The fans are owed that. They're owed at least good performances on the field." My issue is, as I mentioned earlier, is everything goes well in the midfield. Everything goes well between, outside of the box. Once they get in the box or either end, defense or offense, everything goes bananas because they start overthinking, Elias. They start overthinking everything. And I'm talking about Hady Raphael. I'm talking about Ivan Jaime. I'm talking about Prince Owusu. I'm talking about the defenders, Efrain Morales. All of them. The moment they get stuck in high pressure moments, important moments that can make an impact on the game, they crumble to pieces. And this is something that has a lot to do with coaching, preparation, and confidence in themselves. And right now, that's why I said it. I said it last week, and I'm saying it this week. It's a broken team, and they need something. But I will say this. Okay, now I know we're about to. It's kind of a long show. Okay, so
they need go-karting.
There was actually. I want to give a huge shout out to Nilton George and Maxime Truman for doing the halftime space on X, which is a fantastic idea to
they did a halftime one too. That's nice.
Yeah, no, they've been doing really great, and I jumped in on on the post game just because I had time between mass and everything just to listen to it. And one of the people in the space said, the season is over. And I was like, this season ain't over, man. We're 6 games in. It's a
Was it
bad
Milton?
moment. It's a really, really bad moment. It's a bad moment. It's a really, really bad moment to be a CF Montreal fan right now and to what? But the season isn't over. And I'm not saying because they're going to win it, but it's very early. And other teams, Elias, around the MLS are also struggling a lot. A lot.
But the problem is Montreal's been playing all of them and has lost all of them. Montreal's played Orlando and lost to Orlando. Montreal's played Cincinnati and lost to Cincinnati. They've played the Revolution and they've lost to the Revolution. The only team they've played and beat was the one team that was in first place at the East at the time that they played them.
Dude, Elias, Orlando is so
Explain that to me.
Orlando
how the only team they beat was playing well.
Yeah.
Every other team they've played against has been struggling and they have lost. It makes no sense. Except for San Diego. San Diego's an outlier. San Diego's fantastic. I'll never speak ill of San Diego.
Bryce Duke, baby. Anyways, we're gonna finish off.
We're gonna finish off on Bryce Duke. That's the end. That's the last thought of episode 247.
but anyways, just before we finish the show, I just want to ask one last thing. What's next? We got Philly and Stat Saputo. I know you talked about the attendance. Where does this team go from here? What do they do?
Win.
It's easy to say win the game.
Win at home against a team that hasn't gotten a single point this season. And again, it's kind of stupid to say just win. You're playing at home against a team that has not won a point all season. God help you if you lose. God help you if you lose. If they lose, I will start to consider the fact that Donadell's job is gone.
It took you that long? Okay.
Because I didn't think they had I didn't think they were going to fire him in this road trip. I had hoped that they learned from their mistakes. They didn't fire the coach on the preseason road trip. That always goes horribly, and they didn't. So good job, Steve.
That's where we're at
now. Now, if you lose to the only team in the entire league with no points, not even a tie, at home. It's not looking good, Brev.
Yeah.
It's not looking good.
We haven't even talked about Frankie Amaya because he was a loan signee. By the way,
he's going to be joining the club this week. So,
can I say something? Have you ever seen the CF Montreal sign a player and in their announcement put "Finalement"? Finally,
they're trying to reinforce that. Hey, this is not our fuck up. This is on the other end because I think they're trying to save face because they knew that people were it's also under the wire, huh? Because there's like a 7-day grace period with the transfer window, and they did it on the 7th day. They got it done. So that's a real Easter miracle for you right there.
You want to be religious? All right. So
what else do I have to turn to that or alcohol?
So you guys might not know this, but Elias has been sipping on that vodka right now because he is going through a moment. And that's why we need to close the show. Guys, thank you so much to everyone who joined us tonight. We hope you loved the show. We brought you Hans to talk about FC Supra de Quebec. We talked about CF Montreal. We didn't even touch on Roses FC, but we've got so much exciting content, Elias, on the Patreon, and we've had so many members join, and we're very lucky to have them
coming down the pipeline.
Elias,
that's so much.
We are working. We're working for you guys. We're working for you guys. Elias and I are both driving to practice, trying to give you guys the most up-to-date. Not trying. We're doing it. We're not even trying. We're giving you guys the most up-to-date reports from practice. We're getting post-practice interviews. We're getting one-on-one interviews with players here on the show. Make sure you just to like, guys, just to share, just to, and Elias, there have been a lot of new followers, a lot of new people that have signed up to our Patreon. We're very thankful for you guys. So huge shout out to everyone who joined the Patreon this week. You guys are legends. And for everyone who tuned in tonight, thanks for sticking with us. Make sure to join us next week for episode 258. We're going to talk about Quebec soccer, Canadian soccer. there's just too much to list of what we need to start with. We're going to be talking about FC Supra's first game. Ha!
Oh my God.
But you already know the drill. Don't miss it. See you next time.
Later.
Milano.